Thanks so much. I'm a little bit nervous because I have no affinity with development or whatever. I'm not a developer. I'm not a technical guy. I am a sales guy. And James asked me to go meta, and that's why I'm going to talk a little bit about my three passions a little bit. You know, I love being a salesperson. I really do. I think it's the most beautiful profession in the world. It's made for me. I love being a sales guy. Not the used car sales guy, not the carpet selling guy, not the vacuum cleaner guy, but I love selling high-tech products. I really do. And I hope to do that for a very long time to come. But I also really love beer, right? And I'm from Belgium, so I love Belgian beer. Lots of different beers. I don't know if you know, but Belgium has almost 2,000 beers. Right, we have more than 300 breweries, which if you would calculate the per capita brewery ratio, it's really good. We have 10 million people and 2,000 beers, so that's great. I'm a big fan of beer, and I recently, for the past 6.5, 7 months, I really love graphs. Passionate about my job. I work for Neo4J, which is one of the manufacturers of graph databases. So when I joined Neo, they started telling me, you know, you need to go out and prospect with new clients and all of those types of things. And they gave me what I thought was a really awful demo. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's the Doctor Who demo. Yeah, Jim Webber, Ian Robinson, a couple of Londoners from the UK here, they've been talking all over town with the Doctor Who demo. And I don't know Doctor Who. I've never seen a single episode. I don't know what it is. I can't talk about it. I can't do a presentation about it. So I really don't know what it is. So I decided to do something different. And I decided to do something with my passion for sales, my passion for beer, my passion for graphs. So if you're not familiar with graph databases, you probably are much more than I am. We're talking about not only SQL databases, we're talking about a very specific type of NoSQL databases that is very different from some of the others. We solve a different problem. We solve a complexity problem. We don't solve a volume problem, which is very different. And Neo4J is the graph database that Neo4J promotes, produces, supports in the open source world. In a graph database, and so also in my beer graph database, you work with these things. You work with nodes, relationships, and properties. It's called the property graph model. Right? So you don't store your data anymore in records and tables and fields and all those type of things. You store them in a network. A little bit like IMS and IDMS used to do in the 60s, 70s, right? But I would say the modern form of that, it's a property graph, right? And so property graphs, you can use them for really nice things called traversals, right? Traversals, as you will see in a minute, they are really queries, right? They're walks on the network where you would, for example, land in the network somewhere, right? You take a parachute, land in the network somewhere, and start walking the network. You start traversing it. And the walk on the network would give you the result set that you would expect from the data set. And walks on the network can be lots of different things. It can be, what we saw here is like a shortest path calculation. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but you try to figure out what's the shortest path between two elements in the database, in the network. And you can do that obviously for things like logistical applications, right, where you're trying to determine how do I get from point A to point B. Right, we can use that for lots of other applications as well, things like asset management or impact analysis. There's lots of different graphs that you can express this way and query this way. But again, I wanted to create my Belgian beer graph. And that's, I think, how James got my name. So the Belgian beer graph is really simple. Because I'm a simple salesperson. Basically what you got, I basically took a Wikipedia page, which has all the Belgian beers listed, and it's got basically 4 nodes, 4 data elements in here. You've got the beer brands, you've got the breweries, you've got the beer types, and you've got the alcohol percentages. And I'm sure there is a million other ways to model this and much more expressive and technologically much better way, but I did it myself. I didn't use any other tools. I didn't ask the developers to do it for me. I just created the graph myself. And this is the way it looks. You know, we've got beer brands, breweries, beer types, and alcohol percentages. And that's what you can do with this is, of course, these beer queries. And what I found interesting is that it's really very easy to find really nice recommendations. So I'd like to sort of show you a couple of things here. This is the standard database that I created myself. It's the Neo4J database, and it's got 2,358 nodes. 2,000 of those are beers. There's about 250, 300 breweries, and then you've got alcohol percentages and beer types. Well, a couple of properties on it, a couple of relationships on it, right? So if I would use my data browser here, and I would jump into the graph by just pointing to a specific node number, obviously I know that the number 17 is actually my favorite beer. Number 17 is Orval, which is a Trappist beer. As you can see in the network over here, it's a little bit difficult to see, but you've got Orval here, which has a specific alcohol percentage. There's a bunch of other alcohol percentages there. It's brewed by this brewery here, which is an actual Trappist abbey in the Ardennes. You can see that this abbey actually only brews one beer. You know, it's a true artisanal product that they make. And you can also see that there's a bunch of other Trappist beers. You know, if you're interested in Trappist beers, really nice. It's drinking and eating at the same time. Very, very nice. And you can actually start, you know, exploring the network this way. You can walk the network by clicking on one of the nodes and say, okay, so where are the other Trappist beers? Okay, here they are, right? And you can walk the network in a visual way and start seeing, you know, are there any beers here that I don't know? And sometimes you find these interesting results. But you can also, and this is the piece that for me was really interesting, you can use these graphs and graph databases not just to walk the network and explore it, but you can do it, you can find these paths, right? Paths between two different types of beers. And there's another beer that I really like, which is Duvel. You may know that one. It's a little, it can hit you really strong if you're not careful, but Duvel is a very strong but very nice beer. It's a very different type of beer. You know, Orval is a Trappist beer. It's a rich, dark beer, and Duvel is a very blonde beer. So the thing that I want to show you is if I run this query. So what it does here, you can actually not see it, I think. Oh, you can. Here you see it. What it does here is actually it tries to find these paths between Duvel over here and Orval, right? And what you will find is that it actually finds these two beers that I had never heard of. Obviously, I haven't drank all of the 2,000 beers, but it finds these two paths, these two beers, Wilderingout and Hexamie beer, that are sharing characteristics with Duvel and Orval. So for me, that's something that I really want to try, those beers. I haven't found them yet. They're difficult to find. But I really want to taste those beers because they are really interesting recommendations from my graph here. Right, so that's about it. So I promised to James that I would keep it really short. The morale for me is, you know, graphs are great. If you haven't looked at graph databases for complex data structures, you should. And they're easy because even I can do it. Right. So thank you very much, and look forward to seeing you.
That was great. Cheers.